This question says, a sample of a compound is found to contain 5.6 grams of nitrogen, 14.2 grams of chlorine, and 0.8 grams of hydrogen. And now we're required to find the simplest formula of this compound. The simplest formula is the empirical formula. That's what we asked to find. Beautiful. The empirical formula. And for this, we actually need the percent composition of each of these elements. All right, the process of finding the percent composition involves taking each mass, 5.6 for example, for nitrogen, dividing by the total mass and multiplying by 100. And since the process is similar for each of these masses, we can bypass calculating the percent composition and use these masses directly. All right, let's get straight into the solution. And in this video, we're going to use the tabular formats. So let us draw a table to show our works. There we are. So first in the column, we have the elements. And we want to maintain the order in the options. Nitrogen comes before hydrogen and followed by chlorine. So we want to maintain that order. We have nitrogen, hydrogen, and chlorine. And now we want to use their masses, the masses given in the original question, and divide by the relative atomic masses, not the molar masses. The molar mass of chlorine is 71, 35.5 multiplied by 2, because chlorine is a diatomic molecule. Same for hydrogen and nitrogen. But we're not doing that, so we're going to say relative moles of each of the elements present. Because we want to divide by the relative atomic masses. So nitrogen, 5.6 grams, brings that on 5.6. And we want to divide by the relative atomic mass of nitrogen given to us, and that is 14. For hydrogen, we have 0.8 grams of hydrogen. So bring that on and divide by the relative atomic mass of hydrogen, which is 1, given there in the details. Finally, the mass of chlorine present, 14.2 grams of chlorine. And we want to divide by the relative atomic mass of chlorine, which is 35.5. Now, we can decide to use our electronic calculator to evaluate this. And of course, these values are close, so we can also evaluate them without a calculator, of course. Upon using a calculator, this gives us 0.4. But we can adjust these values really. We can adjust. So I'll create a column where we have 5.6 to be divided by 14. We can multiply each of these values by 10, for example, to adjust them. So multiplying 5.6 by 10, we have 56 divided by 14. This is multiple choice calculation, so this is allowed. We want to make the process simple. Multiply by 10, that will give us 8 divided by 1, which is still 8. And of course, multiply the numerator alone by 10. We have 142 to be divided by 35.5. Each of these values can easily be evaluated. So we have 56 divided by 14 gives us 4. And we still have 8 there. And of course, we can evaluate this in a rough area by maintaining 142 divided by 35.5. We can subject this to a reasonable manipulation, multiplying both numerator and denominator by 2, we don't want to use the calculator right away. This will generate 248 divided by 35.5 multiplied by 2 gives us 71. And of course, you look at the denominator, by multiplying 71 by 4, we get the numerator 248. This means 71 can divide into 248 to give us 4. Very simple. So let us maintain 4 there. And now we can see clearly to generate the simplest ratio. So one more column for that, the simplest ratio. Beautiful. The simplest ratio. We can have that. So we have the simplest ratio. Which will require us to divide by the smallest. If we divide by the smallest figure here, which is 4, 4 divides into 4 to give us 1. 8 divides by 4 gives us 2. And of course, 4 divided by 4 gives us 1. So now we have the simplest ratio of atoms: nitrogen, 1 atom of nitrogen, hydrogen, 2 atoms of hydrogen, and chlorine, 1 atom of chlorine. But these suffixes 1, they are not allowed, they're not written in the chemical formula of a compound. So we better write this is the same as nitrogen 1, hydrogen 2, and of course chlorine 1, which we don't need to write. Our final answer. Very simple. And the correct option will be right there, option B. All right. Now, attached to this video are 2 quizzes to help you check your understanding of this video. Please take the quizzes and click on your answers. Also, study the solutions provided. In addition to that, there is a link in the pinned comment that leads you to a test on this topic, chemical composition stoichiometry. So there are 20 questions in that test to be taken in 30 minutes. I recommend you take the test. And finally, there is the full analysis of the topic, chemical composition stoichiometry, and the link is provided in the pinned comments. So if you need to learn further, you can study the full analysis of the topic. Thank you for being part of this session. And of course, I will see you in my next video.